All right. Hey guys, Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. Texas Longhorns are 9-1. 9-1 on the season. 2 games left to go. Coming into the TCU game, you know, with 75% of the season already done and really starting to look at you know, hey, our these goals are in front of us. These aspirations that we had from the offseason, from the preseason, are in front of us. So going into Fort Worth on the road, the getting another W, 29-26 there in Fort Worth. Probably our last game there in Fort Worth, at least for a good bit of time. Good morning to everybody on this Victory Sunday. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Um, I'm not going to waste too much time. Just hit the like button as you come in, and be sure to be subscribed to the channel, and hit us up and help support this platform. Uh, I apologize for not making more content recently. Personal life and personal obstacles and challenges have been immense recently. So just being here this morning, able to record and talk football with you guys is good and healthy for me. Um, I really wish to be in a position to be able to talk more with you guys at some point, because I have a lot to say. It's just life is life, right? But um, nonetheless, I have some thoughts, and I actually jotted some things down before I went to bed last night. So I think no matter what, I think I think collectively, the fan base, you're at least you're accepting. You're gonna take 9-1. You're gonna take 9-1. I'm gonna add Karen on here real quick. Hey Karen, give
What's
me one
going
second.
on?
I gotta put my headphones on since you're coming in real quick. Give me one sec.
Oh, good. What's going on, chat?
Okay. Karen, you can hear me okay? Hopefully
Mm,
chat can hear me okay. All right. So Karen, I'm gonna open up with some notes I wrote down last night, and then I'm gonna give you the opportunity to give your opening statements, if you will,
mm.
after watching last night's game and this team being 9-1. So getting back to the point, 9-1, no matter what. I think people, regardless of how you feel, regardless of what level of nitpick you want to take or criticism of the coaching staff or the team, I think 9-1, everybody's taking that. If I don't care what the context is, you're taking 9-1. That means something, on the verge of 10 wins. Um, a legitimate 10-win season in the regular season for the first time since 2009, taking that. I believe some of the collective frustration on social media is because we are falling into different camps of expectations as fans. And I'm going to define what that means. I believe right now there are certain fans who are just like, you know what? I have reached a certain point with this football program that I'm just going to take 10 wins. I don't care about the rest. Everything else is icing on the cake to me. So if we win 10 games, I'm Gucci. And you know what? If you're that fan right now, I'm not going to judge you because I don't have a right to judge you. If that's how you feel as a fan, you have every right to feel that way. And you can say in your mind, the program is moving forward. The trajectory looks great. We are set up to win 10 games in the regular season, and we Gucci. So if you're in that camp of just 10 wins, you're Gucci. If you're in the camp of Big 12 title game appearance or trying to win the Big 12, you should feel like, hey, we're on track. I have some concerns based upon things you see in the games, things that, injuries, stuff with, things, some inconsistencies as a staff. But if you're in the Big 12 title appearance mindset, which means this, You do not care about the playoffs. If you're a Texas fan today and you're like, you know what, if we make the playoffs, great. But honestly, that's not what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking more about finishing strong in the Big 12, winning the Big 12. That's all I care about. Then you're Gucci. And then I think that there's a certain faction of the fan base where expectations changed post Bama. They went to Bama. They look like not just one of the best teams in the country. They look like arguably the best team in the country. They had arguably one of the best performances, if not. You still hear people on college football talk shows and all these things saying that might be the best win of the season. And people saying, look, based upon that, based upon the ability and the window that is presented here in this particular season, we do need to be thinking playoffs, and we should be concerned about our performance and not maximizing what this roster entails, because a lot of these guys will not be here next season. And I think those three groups of people are colliding within our fan base right now. I'm going to pause there, Karen. Hopefully what I said makes some sense.
No, I think you're really spot on, and I think there is like a really just a large contingent of people that are expecting different things. I so okay, I agree with this, Jordan. By the way, like might be time to throw that out if you just keep blowing 20-point leads time and time again. But okay, first and foremost, me personally, I'm happy we're 9-1. I've watched this football program for the past 13 seasons lose 4 games every single year. We're 1 win away from ensuring there's no 4-loss season. One more win. You win one more game out of the next 2, you don't have a 4-loss season for the first time in 13 years. You can win the Big 12 for the first time in 14 years. You can you still can be in the playoff. Now, does this team, in my opinion, look like a playoff team? Nah, not really. Are they performing like you would want a playoff team to perform? Nah, not really. But also at the same time, I've watched national championship coaches in year 3 with their programs that are super talented go out there and lay eggs. I've seen it happen before. I've seen it happen with Kirby Smart. I've seen it happen. You know what I mean? Like it's not rare. This isn't something that's only happening to us now. Blowing 20-point leads this many times, I don't think I've seen that. I don't think I've seen the way that it's been happening. But also at the same time, man, like you're 9-1. This is college football. Winning games is winning games. I don't care how you look doing it. Now, the committee cares how you look doing it. But at the end of the day, what your record is what your record is. We're looking at a 10-win season in year 3 with a coach that has completely turned around the face of the program. We're going to get guys drafted in the first round consistently for the first time since Mac Brown. Like, he's developing players. He's getting guys on the team. And I saw like a comment about like, oh, start getting bailed out by NFL talent. Well, he's also recruiting NFL talent.
Yep.
He's also developing NFL talent.
Yeah.
So like it's like we can say, oh well, he's getting bailed out by all these NFL players that he has. Da 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 da. But they're here because of him. At the end of the day, he's running a pro style system, and our defensive line is getting developed like pros, and our linebackers are getting developed like pros. Our offensive line getting developed like pros. Running backs, you know what I mean? Wide receivers, quarterbacks even. So my thing is like, it's so easy to nitpick and tear it apart. I for one, I don't know. I'm gonna sound pessimistic with this. Obviously, I want to be in the playoff. Obviously, I want to go compete for national championships. If we have an opportunity to win a national championship,
you believe you're in that third category of fans.
If we lose,
this is the window.
Yes, but also if we are a 12-1 Big 12 champion, what more could I realistically, after the past 13 years, ask for?
That's an outstanding job.
That's a phenomenal season. That's a phenomenal season. A 12-1, and this is my thing. The playoffs aside, it's a year-by-year thing with the 4-team playoff structure. Last year, TCU goes 12-1 They're not a conference champion and they get in. It's very realistic that this year we go 12-1, we are a conference champion and we don't get in. And I understand
And I
everyone's going to be
think
upset. Like,
I think that's the frustration though with if you're in the playoff mode mindset, right? If you're in the playoff mode mindset, the price it took to get into the playoffs last year is not the price it will take this year
yep,
because of the way the outlook of college. The reality of it right now is we're a 9-1 football team right now that has beaten Bama, that has what, 3 top 25 wins, at least at the time we played the opponent.
yeah,
And we are in seventh. We're in the 7 hole. That tells you like that. Think about how many teams are still undefeated,
5,
excuse me, or have one loss.
yeah,
And we're in the 7 hole. That last year we would have been already in the probably 4 or 5 range
yeah,
with how we look. This year, because of the nature of the sport and it changes every year, the unique thing about the college football, this is the sport itself. Because if let's think about it, if we were a few years forward and we're now in the 12-team playoff era, this frustration is not here.
no,
This frustration is more so like, hey, when we get to the playoffs, we need to play better.
yeah,
We need to play our best ball. But we know we're going to get there based upon where we sit, right? Because it's only what that means of 4 teams, I don't think people really understand, especially what that means to select only the 4 teams. That means the playoff committee is saying the 4 best teams, right?
yeah,
That can be in that conversation. The 4 teams that represent the Mount Rushmore of that season, quite frankly.
yeah,
And so right now, if you're in the whole playoff mode mindset, I think you're frustrated because you're like, you know what? I believe we have the talent to be part of that Mount Rushmore, but we are not playing that brand of football that belongs in that group. If we were evaluating this objectively, watching college football every single week, there's no excuse to be blowing leads like that
yeah,
to a bad TCU team, starting Josh Hoover at quarterback.
yeah,
A TCU team. This is also a Big 12. Let's keep it a buck, right? Almost everybody, as much as scary as it was, almost everybody picked Texas to win at least 10 games coming into the season. Why is that? Because we knew before the season the Big 12 was going to be down.
yeah,
We like that was a collective expectation. And it wasn't just that the Big 12 was going to be down, but it was also we knew we had a lot coming back and we knew, with the development and where our trajectory where we should be. So it's great that we are on pace record-wise, which is the most important thing. And let's not lose sight of that. 9-1 is 9-1. That's the most important thing.
yeah,
But as Marlon said, people are watching college football, people are watching the landscape, and it's like, y'all, we got opportunity right now. And
yeah.
are we maximizing it? And I think those are different conversations. I
I
don't. Let me say this. I disagree with what Landon says here, and here's why.
yeah,
I don't think that's no. I don't think that's an automatic. You cannot go before the committee, even at 12-1, in my opinion, with what I'm seeing across college football. And your argument is, well, we're Texas, we went 12-1 and we beat Bama like 4 months ago. Like, that's not good enough. Not with if you watch all these teams play, Bama right now on a neutral field right now, who are you picking, Texas or Bama? Right now.
it's weird though, Steven, because I trust
I'm
this
just
team.
saying, who's playing better football?
They're playing better football, but with nuance and knowing the team, I trust Texas to show up and play 4 quarters against Alabama more than I do us to show up and play 4 quarters next week in Ames, Iowa.
I agree with you,
Like
but that's not
that's not
good
what you're
that you
putting on your
can't.
resume.
That's not good for the resume.
Yeah, it's not what you're putting on your resume too, and I think that's the. I don't know. I think that's the issue is you have a team now that's not putting enough on the resume to be able to get the benefit of the doubt over Bama. Bama has done nothing since that loss but go out and dominate their opponents. Win how by
They're
any means necessary
dominating,
against good teams,
right?
and also they're dominating good teams. They beat Ole Miss by 2 scores. They beat LSU by 2 scores. Like, bruh, you can't just turn around and be like, oh well, we're just so much better because we got a 3-point win on the road against TCU. We got a 3-point win on the road against Houston. We let Kansas State back in the game. Like, if you, I was saying this too before the game on Twitter, screaming in spaces as I do. I was saying, if Texas goes out here and dominates the last 3 weeks, yes, I think they get the benefit of the doubt over Alabama because they look like the team that they were. And you can use the excuse of like, oh, we had our backup quarterback in the game, da-da-da-da-da. You have to put that on a resume. Ohio State got into the playoff in 2014 because they went out there and they smacked the ever-loving dog crap out of every team left on the schedule whenever they got ranked behind people. They were like, okay, we got to show what we are. Also, on top of that, Landon, I can't say 12-1 is just for sure going to get us in because there's 5 undefeated teams. I'm sorry. Florida State has one. Florida State has to play Florida and maybe Louisville. And those are the only 2 games that they can maybe take a loss. Florida State would have to lose. They have to lose.
Has to lose.
They have to lose. 2, Ohio State and Michigan are not losing next week. They're not going to lose in the Big Ten championship. They have to play each other. There's going to be an undefeated champion from that side.
And one of them's only going to have 1 loss.
Exactly. Oh, we'll get in over the 1-loss version of them.
Which I would agree. I agree with that. Yeah. But here's the thing. Let's say Bama goes and then beats out Georgia.
Yeah.
Right? Now you're looking at a 1-loss Georgia team that is the back-to-back defending national champs.
Yeah. You would still take us
and I mean, but there's a conversation. I don't think that's an automatic. I don't think that's especially if I'm looking at it from Georgia's perspective. Bro, again, these guys are skating by Houston. They're skating by TCU. They're skating by, they're not a dominant football team.
Exactly.
Why do they deserve that?
Exactly. And that's why we're ranked behind Oregon right now. And the craziest thing about Oregon's played 2 teams with a winning record, and they're ranked above us. I wouldn't be surprised if Bama jumps us this week. You have to start showing, and I hope, and Steven, I hope they do.
I hope they do us this week because maybe that'll wake them up.
Maybe that'll wake us up and be like, damn, like they really think we sorry. They ranked the team above us, and you know what I really want? I want Sarkisian to go out there, blow the doors off of Iowa State, blow the doors off of whoever off of Texas Tech, and then look in the camera after the game and say, I don't know how y'all are ranking guys again. This is a damn good football team. We had our down weeks, blah, 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 blah. That's the dream scenario. Will that happen? I don't know. But my thing is right now, like you're saying, and also, guys, I'm so sorry. I'm going to be very, very frank. I'm going to be very, very real. Yes, this team has the talent to be in the playoff. They're not performing like a playoff team. They don't deserve, at this moment, given what they have shown the past couple of weeks, to go to a playoff. If they turn it around, then sure. But right now, we don't deserve to be a playoff team. And guess what?
You can't watch the last month and say that Texas is a top 4 team. Hell no.
That's what I'm saying. We know the team. We know the roster. We know how talented they are. We know how good they can play. They're not doing it, though. You are what your record says you are. You are what your on-field performances says you are. I don't care if it was execution. I don't care if it was drop balls. I don't care if it was luck. Whatever it was, that's how the games went. You had chances up 3 possessions to put all of these games away with the ball, and you didn't do it. Time and time and time again. And this is a problem going all the way back to last year. And I don't understand how it's always 3 possessions with Sarkisian. It's always, we talked about this last time I was on the show, Steven. It's always 3 possessions. Always. Quentin, I disagree. You are what your record says you are. We're a 9-1 football team. You want to know why? Because we're a damn good football team. But also at the same time, we're a number 7 team in the country though right now because we don't put people away the way that we should. Also, we're what our record says because yes, we're a damn good football team, but we have a loss because of the same BS that we're dealing with now. Lulls on the offensive side of the ball, red zone issues. That we're the worst red zone offense in the country. But my thing is like, we'll break down the game a little bit later, but I'm upset Don't get me wrong. I'm upset that like we might ruin a chance to go to the playoff this year, right? At the same time, Steven, I think we're looking at this a little too harshly. A 12-1 conference championship season. If we
I'm
don't go
taking
to the
that.
playoff, we'd be 5 or 6 at the end of the poll. Cool. You had a top 5 season after
I'm taking
a
it.
5-7 or after a 5-7 season, then a eight
In
and five
2021.
season.
Mm-hmm.
Bruh,
I'm taking it.
give me that. Give me that every day of the week. Give me a conference championship, beating every team leaving the conference. He's
Here's the thing,
building a
Karen,
program.
and I agree. And Landon's right. Two of those games being with a backup quarterback. Yes. But here's the thing. Texas is so consistent that we played the same way regardless of who the quarterback was. we played like that with Malik, we play like that with Quinn. It don't even
Yep.
matter. Like we literally are so consistent in a good way and in a bad way because this year what has spoken to me this season, ladies and gentlemen, is habits. And Texas habitually has been good at figuring out how to win the game. Even the OU game, they almost figured out how to win that game as poorly as they started.
Mm.
Like those are good habits they've put forward. I feel like they've put forward really good habits of it being a physical football team. I've seen that in every football game they've played. They have gone out and they have a habit of being physical. They have a habit of being competitive, down, especially down the stretch. We don't see people cramping all over the place, even through injuries, even when young guys are in there. They have a habit of communicating well. They have a habit of sticking together. They don't get pulled apart, regardless of what's going on in the game. Those are really good habits.
Yeah.
They have a habit up until yesterday of scoring 30 points every game.
Yeah.
Yesterday, they only scored 29. But that's a habit of we are going to always hit that bar. That's 10 games in, bro. They do it every single week. But what they also have a habit of is not going all gas, no brakes. They have a habit of stopping once they are up 3 scores, like Kieran
Yeah.
just said. They have a habit of letting their foot literally off the gas.
Mm.
They have a habit of giving bad teams false hope. At this point, you can't argue this. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Or else you're not watching the same football team. Those are habits. They have a habit of being bad in the red zone and being bad in short yardage. They have bad habits there. It's frustrating. It's really frustrating, but they have a habit of doing those things. So we have to look at it in totality. I want to bring up Stealth's comment here because before we get into actually breaking down the TCU game and then talking about the recent Jimbo Fisher news, because that plays into it as well.
Yeah.
And Jordan, also the super chats, Jordan S, Quentin, you guys throwing the super chats in here, really appreciate it. We're at 150 people in here right now. Hit that like button, subscribe, whole bit. Really appreciate you guys tuning in and watching Ken and I just talk ball this Sunday morning. Blessed to be here. Stealth, again, I'm talking to 3 different parts of the fan base
Yeah.
because Stealth is here telling us, right? This is exactly what I'm talking about. I don't care about the playoffs this year. We have been so bad, so down for so long that now that I'm winning every week, I'm going to take that, Steve.
Yeah.
And I respect the people that's where you stand. All I'm saying though is if you're gonna be this person, right? If you're gonna be in that camp of that's where my focus is, then don't get mad if we happen to go 12-1 and we may or may not get in or we're on the bubble of it.
Mm.
Because there are more factors there in this unique situation. Most every other year, 12-1 Texas would automatically be in. Let's
Yeah.
be honest. Like if you look at the last few years, Kieran, you just used the TCU example, which was brilliant of last year. The price to pay last year was much lower than the price you're going to have to pay this year.
And the price is
This
even
weekend,
more lower next year. So that's good. Like there's still opportunities, guys. Like
let's so I'm gonna read the super chat and then let's start talking on on yesterday's game because
Yeah.
there's some good things I want to touch on in just the whole bit. Um, Yesterday, coming out, the return of Quinn Ewers and shaking off some rust. Also, not being 100%, but just him battling, him going out there and really the emphasis on trying to get the ball to our playmakers. I'm gonna bring up the stats sheet here in a second before we get to the Jonathan Brooks injury, but I thought we emphasize, hey, our best playmakers: Xavier Worthy, Adonai Mitchell, Jonathan Brooks, Jatavian Sanders. I felt like those guys were showcased. Some of it was based upon the coverage TCU chose to play, especially the way TCU chose to utilize one Josh Newton with the straight man. If we die, we die. Which I am.
Yeah.
I
Bold strategy. Very bold strategy.
and we took advantage,
Yeah.
right? Especially in that first half, and I was thrilled. Karen, I'm gonna let you speak on this one. I was doing jumping jacks when I saw AD Mitchell down at the bottom, manned up, manned up, and we motioned Jatavian. You say, "Hey, Jatavian, get out of here." We're working one just like they do in the NFL, brother.
Oh
When
my
we
God.
see a certain look, we don't what's understood doesn't need to be explained. Okay, snap the ball and execute. And I'm gonna let you take that one from there because
Um,
I've been asking for that all year, and
I'm
they finally did it.
you have the absolute best red zone target for the back-to-back defending national champions, and you barely use him in the red zone up until this point. And now you do, and you see, oh snap, he is a complete mismatch. Whether it's from a route running perspective, whether it's from a what like jump ball perspective, he's an absolute problem to guard. I've never been more happy. I mean, I sent it in the chat. I was just like, bro, finally, you use the best freaking red zone target that we have in the red zone. I don't know. I just after seeing that, I was incredibly pleased. There was teams that like the thing is, you're still watching Sark get better as a coach. And to me, that's like the overall like theme that I had for the game is just like you're watching these guys get better and better. And AD Mitchell is one of our best, most explosive wide receivers. I think AD Mitchell is one of the most explosive and best wide receivers we've had at this school in the past 5-6 years. It's him and Xavier Worthy, I think, are the two best wide receivers that have been in a burnt orange uniform since probably the Mac Brown era. And I wholeheartedly believe that. I love Devin Duvernay. I think these guys have the ability to do 10 times more than what he did if we were actually hitting them when they were wide open. There was a couple of times too, like when AD just completely broke off his man on that third down and Quinn just threw an uncatchable ball off like the double pump. That killed me when we had to take another field goal in the red zone. I was like, man, like
Yeah, he had him
he's
on that
wide
one.
open.
That
Just
was
get like
another
you could
one.
be late. It doesn't matter when a guy beats you that bad. Just throw me a catchable ball. But I'll say this: I love the fact that we're going to more vertical now. As soon as we started trying to get cute later on in the game, but these wide receivers have shown time and time again. Oh, when we're running routes downfield, we're going to get not just open, ass naked open. We are going to be wide open. Like these DBs cannot guard us. So I don't know. I just need to see a little bit more of a downfield passing attack. I like the fact that Quinn went out there and got 300 yards in this game, even though I don't think his arm is 100% whatsoever. I think that first pick kind of showed you, like, yeah, this is not really looking as strong as possible. But I was pleased with the passing game as from a play calling perspective. And also I wanted to touch on that too about the game that we saw yesterday. A part of this comeback, it's in part play calling and it's in part execution. Every single time. Every single time. And then defensively, we just give up touchdowns whenever we're stalling on offense, which just sucks too. Because if you're an elite defense, hold them to a field goal. You hold them to a field goal on one of those drives, it's not a game at the end. Just one time. You let them score 3 straight touchdowns, 20, like 20 points in the fourth quarter. Not
Right.
acceptable. But the play, I think it was on the second drive when they went to go score where we ended up missing. Xavier Worthy's running open and Quinn just throws it behind him because he doesn't set his feet again. And I'm like, man, we got to be past that. You put the ball out in front of him, it's an easy catch for a first down. He possibly sheds that tackle and goes upfield for a touchdown. There's nobody else behind him, man. Like you can't do that. And that's why I get frustrated when people are like, damn Sark, like blah, 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 blah. There's times in every single one of these games where Sark dials it up for you on a silver platter and you don't execute. It time and time again. Last week with Savion Red dropping the ball. This past week with Quinn Ewers not hitting Xavier Worthy when he's wide open. Like, and listen, should that one misplay compound into like a 20-point blown lead? No, of course not. You should play better defense on the back end. You should be able to hold guys, and then also you should be able to call some better plays from a coaching perspective. But at the same time, bro, it's like one or two plays every game. Every game. That it's just like, dude, if you just execute, the game is put away. It's over. All we needed to do, Steven, was score one more. We needed to score 10 points in the second half to make that game comfortable. You scored 3.
Yes. Yeah, and I think TCU responds differently. I think another thing, too, is a lot of teams, especially in the Big 12, have learned that if you just hang in there, especially to start that third quarter, you can come back on Texas. This is a thing now. Even if you're down 2-3 touchdowns, what have you, you can get in that range. And so that's a little frustrating. I will say this though, before we get to Quentin's thoughts. Do you think that Quinn, his arm was bothering him and that affected play calling? Did anybody hear what I just said?
Oh,
Do you
okay. I
guys think
thought you were
that?
talking to Kieran. I don't.
No, you saying Quentin.
I don't think so, man. I don't just looking at his body language on the sideline. He wasn't showing any like angst in his face, and maybe Sark thought he was a little bit more banged up trying to protect his quarterback. But the way Quinn played, I don't feel like he was hurt because he was still looking for room to run. Like ain't no big deal, you know what I mean? When he was in the pocket, I was like maybe if he was hurt, he'd throw the ball away, kind of just like kneel down. But he was still looking to run when he had space, so. I don't feel like he felt hurt. Maybe Sark, but I don't know, man. Sark is that's that. I'll tell you my thoughts after this, but
I do want to give.
I'm usually pretty positive.
I know. And Jordan Whittington, look, we got to give. I know he doesn't show up in the stat sheet every single time, but damn it, those are guys you always want to have in your football program.
Yeah,
and I hope Texas has another guy like this after he, moves on. Offensively and defensively, those guys that just go the extra mile, they love ball. They're always going to do what you ask them to do. They're going to do the shit that's not sexy. It's not sexy to run somebody down after a pick and with that type of effort. But
after you missed the tackle already.
Yeah, but it's love of the game, dog. Like, we getting this football back. And he honestly saw an opportunity too. This is a guy that also played all over. I mean, Jay Witt played at Cuero here, and he played everywhere, right? Like,
Yeah, he played safety, he played kick returner, quarterback, linebacker, everything.
The way he came from behind and ripped the ball, it looked like he had done that before.
It was natural.
Right? Like,
hey, I said early on, I thought he was an NFL safety if he played safety here. But I'm just saying, it was.
I could see that if they gave him a chance. I can see that.
No, he's one of the best football players on the team.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, football players, 100%, absolutely.
Yeah. There's guys that are just like straight football players on the. Jade's a football player. Yeah, like it just we have those guys on the team.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
go ahead, Quinn. I know you had some thoughts here.
We've talked about it. Just Sark has no situational like awareness. Like whoever those consultants that he got in the offseason, like, hey fool, calm down. Don't call that shit. You know what I mean? I'm just looking at it and I'm just seeing like all my homeboys, they're like, man, y'all got this. I'm like, nah, nigga, 20 points ain't it. You know what I mean? And I'm like, Sark gonna Sark, and he gonna find a way to mess it up with some bull crap. And I'm real positive. I'm like, all right, it's fine. But it ain't fine no more.
Yeah.
Like, pissed off, man.
It's not.
It's just like you can see when the game is just slowly like this one play. I'm like, that's it. It's gonna go awry, and it just goes. Like there's a lot to happen within a 20-point deficit that goes away. There's a whole lot of football. You know what I mean? And his play calling, what? But until they got down by 3, we threw the ball 8 times. Like this all gas, no break. That needs to go away. That's not our mantra anymore. Like trash it. Throw away your hats. Throw away your t-shirts. That's not us. That's not us.
It's not all gas, no brekes whatsoever.
It's literally all gas
if
and break.
Have y'all
we're telling
ever,
lies.
have
We're
y'all ever
telling lies
seen,
if we say all gas, no brakes.
my thing is, have y'all ever seen it? Like this is so weird how it's every single time it's a 3 possession lead. Like every single time. Like,
I have a question.
Yes, K-State last year, 3 possession lead. K-State this year, 3 possession lead. Last year at Texas Tech, you get the stop, you have the opportunity to go up 4 possessions. You end up blowing that game and losing it. Oklahoma State, like
Oklahoma State.
I don't understand.
It literally happened 2 years in a row.
No, it's every single time it's a 3 possession lead. And every single time it'd be different if it was like the Houston situation where we get up 3 possessions, but they immediately score back.
Yeah.
Even in the Houston game, we had one and we got the ball back ready to score. You have had the ball. That's and hey, if you ever wanted to know as a football fan what the threshold was for a game being over and not being over, in terms of like demoralizing your opponent,
28.
It's a 4 possession lead in the second half because we have seen a 3 possession lead in the second half get blown numerous times.
And I don't know who makes this call, but on the defensive side, I don't remember. It was halfway through the third quarter. They just said, "Scrap all the starters. Let's get these backups." And then TCU was just right down the field, and then they left them on the defensive play after that possession. And I'm like, "What y'all doing?"
So I have a let me add this too.
I understand. I guess somebody said they run 24 plays in the third quarter or something, so our defense was probably tired.
Well, but let me add this here. So we're looking at, we got the stats up here. Like I said, we were, Worthy has a night where he has 137 yards. That's with him stepping out of bounds on what could have been, another big explosive play touchdown. And we'll get to the Jonathan Brooks injury here in a second. I think this is more of a Sark thing. I'm sorry. I watch football all over the place, guys, and a lot of you guys do as well. I've never seen a team consistently get up and blow leads like we do. This is unique to us. Please show me another example out there. Even teams that win, that come back and win. Show me another example where people are blowing even over multiple seasons.
This is every single.
This is over multiple. This has happened all 3 seasons.
Yes,
where we are up 3 score, and there are things that are happening where I'm literally, I tweet this every week. This is why I'm like, no, this is a coaching problem because he's literally, there's things that are happening where I'm like, that's where you just gave the opponent blah blah blah. Or where you do, for example, he does every single week. You can count on Sark on a 3rd and 4 or a 3rd and 5 to run the football and say, I have 2 plays to get X amount of yards. How many times do you see that happen every single week with this football team? Only for us, to get stuffed on 4th and 1, knowing that we don't have very good short yardage offense right now. Yet we continuously put ourselves in that situation, whether it's Roshan Johnson last year in the RoCap package or this year now in the Wild Red package. I've seen both outcomes, but we've reached the same outcome both times is what I should say. That's coaching at that point, because that's we're even talking about different personnel at that point, but you're still getting the same, we were successful, but now we have to consistently rely on this package to pick up 1 or 2 yards. When, if you're a really good physical football team, that should never be an issue for you on a consistent basis. Those are part of the things that allow people just to come back. It happens every week. This is a consistent thing, okay? The other thing I want to point out real quick in terms of these things, what the hell happened to the 70-point Sark against Texas Tech 3 years ago? Where's that guy? Where's that was all gas, no brakes. So like this notion that we haven't seen it before. We have seen it before.
Yeah.
Where's the guy that was where they were literally like going full blown no mercy? Because something changes when they get up 3 scores. They go into this conservative shell. And the reason why it is a coaching issue is because when you start calling plays in that manner, it psychologically communicates to your team that we are letting our guard down. We are no longer attacking the defense.
Mm.
I want to keep us an attack minded approach. And that starts with your play calling, that starts with your approach on how you approach the game. In my opinion, that's just how I see it. I believe we are all going to disagree on this as a fan base. But in my opinion, I don't believe that our head coach is attack minded enough. And I think we are still winning because of the talent that he has also brought in himself.
Mm.
He is the problem and the solution.
Yep.
Man,
He is both.
Man, it's like this is kind of weird. It's his personality. I don't think it's his personality to crush someone. Like in football, in his normal day, he's just too nice to do that to people. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if that makes any sense, but I think of that when I see it happen. I'm just like, this guy. I need a defensive head coach like mindset to take over. You know what I mean? To just crush somebody. He don't have it in him.
Nah, it's getting ridiculous out here. Like you know that clip that like DeMarcus Cousins where he's just like, it's getting ridiculous. You know what I mean? That's how I'm feeling right now. I'm going back right now, guys, and I'm counting the double digit losses that we've had, or the double digit leads that we've blown.
Right, even in wins.
Yeah, first year you blew. It was three straight weeks where you blew a double digit lead and you lost. Year 2, number 4, you blew a double digit lead against Texas Tech. You lost the game. The next one, you blew a double-digit lead against Iowa State. You won the game.
Barely won.
Yep. Then you blew a double-digit lead the next week against Oklahoma State. That's 5 that you blew and lost. Kansas State, you blew a double-digit lead. That's now, okay, if we're just adding it all together, that's 7 double-digit leads blown. You still won the game. Let's see. 2023, and then this year, we have the one against Houston, that's 8 or 7. Kansas State's 8. TCU 9. And you won. You won. You have 9 times where you have essentially either blown a double-digit lead or ended the game in a one-possession victory in a game where you led by double digits. And it's even nastier this year because they're 20-point. Like the only time before that we had blown 20-point lead was Oklahoma with Caleb Williams. But you have now not blown because we didn't blow it against TCU. I'm not going to say we blew it when the game was
no, but you allowed them to come back. Yeah, I agree. You should qualify what a blown lead means. Yes. That's a good point, Karen.
A blown lead in my honest opinion is whenever you have a large lead, they come back and tie it. You blew the lead. Now you can still win, lose. I think we blew the lead against Kansas State. That's a blown lead. Against Houston, we blew the lead, in my opinion.
Though Kansas State was definitely a blown lead because we went to overtime.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we blew the lead.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like it just to have 9 games where you've led by double digits and every single one of them either ends in a loss or a one possession win.
And this year specifically, I think he's getting away with it because we win. He's like, I'm not gonna apologize for a win. Bruh.
I understand it though. You don't want to apologize for a win. It's not the standard. But also, oh gosh, you're making me have Tom Hermanisms. Winning is hard. Like it's like
whatever. Georgia ain't lost in 3 years.
Yes, but also we're not Georgia.
You're right.
We're not Georgia. We're not Alabama. Kirby Smart, and this is my thing too. People want to be on Sark's head, bro. I have text messages from my best friend's dad who's just like, Sark sucks. He's all blah, 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 blah. I'm like, dude, Kirby Smart in year 3 was doing the same exact stuff. Not the double-digit leads, but I'm talking about losing games that he shouldn't have. I'm talking about not executing with a championship-talented squad. Like, Dabo Swinney, year 3, was doing the same thing. Like, it's building a national championship program isn't going to happen in 3 years for a coach that hasn't been a head coach in 7-8 years. who is coordinating, jumping all over the place. Dude, he's got to learn how to win. He's got to learn how to coach a championship program. And on top of that, more than anything, the program, how many times with Tom Herman did we have these close losses and we were saying, damn, team just can't win. Team just can't win.
I think the difference though with Tom was the game was close. We were never jumping out to these big leads, right? Like we weren't showing dominance over the opponent. Oftentimes with Tom Herman, we would start slow. We'd have the Todd Orlando special for those who don't remember, where we would literally concede 7 points on defense to start the game. Right off the bat, you're getting 7, bro.
Yeah.
And we would slowly, in the second and third quarter, work our way back. And next thing you know, we're in a phone booth fight. Every game, like the Tom Herman era, felt like every game, for better or for worse, were phone booth fights. That's not how this feels with Texas. When I watched the Texas game, when I watched Texas under Sark, oftentimes I will see us literally bashing the opponent like I see the opponent looks on film. Coming into this game, I look at TCU. TCU is very vulnerable. They're not a very good football team right now. A TCU fan can tell you that if they're not lying. They have some good players that are still left over from that team from last year, like Savion.
We need
Savion. Is Savion still eligible? Come holla at us, baby.
We need some
tampering. Come holla at us, baby.
We need some tampering.
Come down to Austin next year, my man. You have a home here, my man. I don't know if Savion got plans to go to the league or what, but he is a baller. Savion Williams, you can play for me anytime, my boy. But they have some.
They offered them late.
They have some guys left over, but overall, you come out and watch Texas play, even with Quinn working off rust. You're under Sark. To start the game, it's like, oh no, we're beating the shit out of them like we should. Like we are doing the things to them that other teams have been doing to TCU, the teams that had a lot of success, and we are establishing massive margin. 26-6 in this sport with the talent that you have, the game should be over.
Yeah.
The game, there should be no, we should, I literally tweeted at halftime, run it up. This is where you get your style points. This is where you keep the other half of the roster happy, by the way.
Yeah.
If we want to talk about it. This is where you run it. Bruh.
We can't get backups in the game.
We can't and we wonder why people are frustrated and keep chirping behind the scenes on the bench because they can't get in because we can't handle our business. You look at the Georgia Ole Miss game yesterday. And it was close until it wasn't, and then they handled their business and get people in. And I know we just said, we're not Georgia. We're not. But the point is, when you are playing a team that you are significantly better than, Texas is significantly better than TCU on paper with their roster and how they've played this season. And for the and for a large stretch of the game, they literally exercise dominance. Yeah. I do not understand why it is so difficult to put teams like this away. I don't understand that.
1,000% the play calling. I'm not putting on players not executing. It's literally his play calling changes.
Yeah.
Dude, like we threw the ball 8 times. Like, what you doing? You know what I mean? Like, I remember the Alabama game. I've never seen Stark call a game like that. Never. I'm like, what? Who is this guy? And he ain't did it since.
I think, okay, so this is what I like doing, looking back at like these drives, right? So I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna look at like drive by drive offensively what you did, because I'm always fascinated like how did this happen? With Kansas State, it was turnovers. Like If you didn't turn the ball over in that situation, you probably don't blow that lead, right? This game, right? So 26-6,
which you can excuse to Malik's youth.
Exactly, you can.
If that happening with a backup quarterback, there's some things you can excuse. Yeah, as a coach, you can hide Malik at that point when you get up by a lot, but there's some things where it's like, all right, Malik was in the game. He doesn't understand decision making to that degree yet. He hasn't played a lot. We can excuse that.
Yeah.
But it's happened with Casey Thompson. It's happened with Hudson Card. Mm-hmm. It's happened with Quinn Ewers. it doesn't matter who's the trigger man back there. Is my point.
Yeah.
It's happened with everybody.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying it's the coach.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, and in this situation, I like breaking it down, right? So first and foremost, you come out second half, 26-6 lead. First possession, TCU seems to have found a little bit of something. Then you end up getting a punt. Cool. We get the ball back. First down. Jonathan Brooks, big run. Second down, easy completion to Xavier Worthy, pick up a first down. You think the offense is rolling. You end up having an incomplete pass to Adonai Mitchell. Jonathan Brooks then runs for 9 yards. You have a 3rd and 1, and you throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage to Jonte Cook, and he gets popped in the backfield for a punt. Okay, cool. You didn't execute on that play. I chalk that one up to bad play calling. I don't like that play call in that situation whatsoever, especially when your running back just had 9 yards on second down. So, next drive.
But is that him being fearful because he knows that they struggle to run the ball on 3rd and 4th and 1s?
It's
that?
possible. It's very possible. But also at the same time, I love how Steve Sarkisian says you are what you emphasize. He says that a lot.
He says that a lot.
Where's the emphasis on short yardage situations and being 10 times better at them than we are? Because we are awful. We are awful at short yardage situations. I trust us to pick up a 3rd and 4 more than I do for us to pick up a 3rd and 1 or a 3rd and inches from any part of the field.
A 3rd and 12.
Awful. So then this is the nasty part though to me. This is the nasty part. This is when the game this is where I was just like, bruh, this is where I tweeted, bro, don't blow this lead. You get a stop on downs at the goal line.
Yes.
It's very clear they're figuring out. It's very clear they are figuring out something with your defense. You turn around on the offensive side of the ball and you punt the ball away after getting 1 first down again. And it's a pass to A.D. Mitchell for 20 yards. We got some momentum going.
That was a big boy throw out of the end zone by Quinn, by the way. That was a big boy throw.
You're all the way backed up. Great throw. That one, when Quinn is throwing to 80 out of the end zone, I'm happy. Whether it's
he hit him on the 7 route against OU, right?
Exactly.
Out of the
when Quinn is throwing the ball around an end zone to A.D. Mitchell, I'm a very happy camper. Period. You have that play happen, then you get a completion to Xavier Worthy for 12 yards, then you go incompletion, Jonathan Brooks run for 4 yards, then Quinn misses Xavier Worthy open. Next thing you know, you have to punt. They get the ball back. They go down the field. They score the touchdown. And then, okay, cool. Next drive, you get a field goal. As you drive all the way down the field, you just start running C.J. Baxter. You run C.J. Baxter 3 straight times, and you get no gain because you get absolutely stonewalled in the middle. I don't understand how TCU looked like. I told you this as well. I don't understand how TCU looked like one of the worst rushing defenses in the entire conference. Then they play against us and they look like the 85 Bears. Like, it's just like, dog, what's going on? And I understood we were going to get their best game. And I knew, shout out to Texas Homer. When Homer was saying like, yo, this team, they have the athletes to stop the run. They're just not executing. They're just not gap sound. They were extremely gap sound against us. And I can chalk that up. I don't think the run game woes are going to really like pass on to that. I think we get better running the ball as the game goes on. We're never really good running the ball in the first half.
Yeah.
I think we'll be okay. I think TCU really played up to the level of competition. That they were just like, we're going to really key in on trying to stop the run. But you end up getting points out of that drive. Fine. What you can't do is turn the ball is give them the ball back and have them go on a 75-yard drive in 3 minutes and score a touchdown. Like, you just can't have that happen. That's the Jared Wiley one. And credit to TCU, they called some beautiful plays, man. Right there, they keyed in on Jahdae Barron's like super aggressiveness on the swing passes. They leave Jared Wiley behind, and then he picked up 40 yards.
I also want to talk about the coverages there. I've been a big person, been very critical of PK and playing off coverage and all those things. Those drives there, they were playing more aggressively. I didn't see people playing way off the ball. When Manny Muhammad was in,
They were sneaking
when
up.
Brooks was in, they were playing more closer to the line of scrimmage. It wasn't always press man, and we're not always advocating for press man. We're just saying close the space and try to identify and redirect a little bit better. It also depends on what the entire coverage is for the team, and the situation and down and distance. All these things matter snap to snap. On the Jarrett Wiley play, if you look, they're all pretty much 3 yards off the ball. TCU ran a great concept to get that type of space for Jared Wiley. To Karen's point, I don't think that the spacing and some of the things we've been complaining about over the last few weeks was necessarily an issue, in my opinion. I actually thought that they did a really good job um, of closing that. And I think earlier in the game, and it's interesting, we got some guys making plays. Terrence Brooks had a really nice day overall, kind of staying connected and, making plays sometimes out of phase. And then the other one, he came up where it was more cover two and Hoover doesn't see him. And, he's able to get the pick underneath. I thought Jalen Ford had a nice game overall, even though we had some bust. I think Jalen Ford made a lot of plays and cleaned up a lot of stuff. Some of these things are going to be growing pains. Some of the run game leaks, Anthony Hill, they'll just teach him better pursuit angles. Those are some of those things are just growing pains with certain guys in the game, in my opinion. But they shouldn't have been in that position. I'm sorry. That was a TCU secondary where, and maybe if Quinn's healthy, we go for there's some games where we should be throwing for 400 plus yards because of how the opponent is playing us and what they're doing. There's also the same reason why, even at the end of the game, Adonai Mitchell makes the biggest play of the game deep down the field where we just go one-on-one because it's there.
He doesn't lose. He doesn't lose.
It's there. So there's this thing where Sark can be very reluctant as a play caller and to spam stuff. I mean, you think about the Baylor game last year. I give him credit all the time. He spammed Bijan Robinson and Roshan at the end of that game. Literally, I don't care. We're running inside zone until in duo until these guys tap out. I don't care, and because it's working. And I think that was a game yesterday where you really want to spam guys like AD, and they were getting the coverage every single time. Even the throws, even the pick, the separation that they're getting in coverage was insane consistently. So some of those things, it's a little tough. Landon had a question about Jaden Blue. So we need to talk about Jonathan Brooks being out. We don't know the length of the injury. It didn't look good.
So I think they're saying possibly season ending.
So that's a big deal, man. And again, that's a big deal regardless of where you fall in this, by the way. If you're just a 10-win person, that sucks because, just as a Texas fan, it sucks. But if you're a person trying to win the Big 12, Jonathan Brooks, if he's not available, that hurts us trying to win this conference, by the way.
Yeah.
Because there's a noticeable drop-off when he's not in the game. And I'm not trying to throw shade.
He's not patient.
I'm not trying to even throw shade at Cedric. Baxter's just not that'd be like asking us to run Jonathan Brooks 2 years ago in that position.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? Some of it is just time and development and learning. And Baxter's body is there, but reading certain situations and all that. And he plays hard. He runs hard. I don't question that. But guys like Jaden Blue, is it really just ball security with him? Because when I see him out there, I see him playing hard. Is it just we don't trust him because he might fumble? Is that what it is?
So
we can't beat our chests about how our running back depth is this and that, and then one guy goes down and shit hits the fan. You can't have it both ways.
Yeah,
either we have a deep running back room or we don't.
So the fumbling issues. Okay, so this is my thing. Heard all fall camp he has fumbling issues. He's like explosive, but he really struggles holding onto the ball. Even in spring camp, holds onto the ball. My problem is your second, third carry of the game and mop-up duty, you fumble the ball on the field in the first game of the year. I think it's tough for them to trust him in this point to really hold on to the football. And I think that's for a reason. My thing is, it's fine if you have those fumbling problems in practice, but then for you to come up and mop-up duty and fumble the ball game one, against Rice, he gets on the field and fumbles the ball. To me, that's just, I don't know. That's a huge issue.
But now what do you do now?
We don't have no
Keelan's
choice.
not.
We don't have no
Keelan's
choice
not
now.
I mean, Keelan. Yeah, you'll ramp Keelan a little bit more, but it's going to be Cedric Baxter, and then you're going to need to supplement those touches.
Yeah, you're gonna. I mean, well, yes, it's gonna be. I think it's still gonna be Blue and Baxter. I just think you're gonna see more of an emphasis on running the hell out of Cedric Baxter. And honestly, where are the I hate, this is one thing I hate about Sarkisian. You got Blue, Baxter, and Keelan involved last year in some diamond formation packages that were extremely effective running the football. Where do those go?
We've had them this year.
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying is why can't we use those on a week-to-week basis? Like, you just pull that out like against Kansas State.
One series.
It's like, no, it's like Sark's like, oh, big game. Okay, now I'm a really like load the clip. Where do those go?
Yeah.
Where do those go? When you need yardage, when the running game is not working, where do those go? Like, you have a deep enough bag. And honestly, though, too, yeah. So Keelan's hurt. Dang, Keelan and John.
Yeah, I saw that. He didn't play much yesterday.
So yeah, I think it's gonna be on Baxter and it's gonna be on Blue.
Can Keelan be right? See, this is. Can I? Is this a safe space? This isn't a safe space because y'all gonna. No. But I'm gonna say it anyway. I'm very concerned about next week.
I am. I've been concerned about next week all year.
I'm very concerned. Okay, I'm just gonna say it out loud, right? Because it's the timing of all of this.
And what happened last year? They're gonna want it so bad because what happened last year.
And we're going. I mean, we're going to Iowa to play at night in cold weather, and against Heacock, the 3-3-5 master, Sark already has problems with that.
Which is so stupid.
He needs to figure that out with the boogeyman thing. But now I'm losing my sledgehammers to even just say, you know what, screw the 3-3-5. We just go run it down.
He's actually figured it out. We've played what Kansas State did, and we lit him up last night. I think he's figured it out.
Though they played a lot of man though last night. I mean,
he's figured it out. It's fine.
I'm not going to say he's figured it out until he does it against Heacock, because Heacock runs it the best.
I got you.
Until I see him do it against that guy,
yeah,
I can't say that he's outright. I think he's had success, but again, going to Iowa State, and Iowa State's playing way better football than they did to start conference play when they played like OU and them. They have found an offense all of a sudden.
I thought that too until I watched them play Kansas, and then I was like, eh.
But here's the thing: we can say that about TCU, bro.
You're right.
We can say that about everybody we play. They look mid, dog, and then we play them.
You know,
and we sweat bullets.
A team that we beat in Kansas State between Houston and TCU, they beat them like 78-6.
Houston stinks. Houston stinks, man. And then we play them, and it's like we're on life support.
The worst part about it is it's watching teams that are great, right? That are good teams, right? And we smack them. And it's like, oh, snap. Like, we're out there dominating. We make them look like a bad team. We make Kansas State for 3/4 of that game.
Look like a horrible team.
Look like for a half of that game. Look like a horrible team.
And Kansas State was good.
And you know what the sad part is? Kansas State looks better against the bad teams of this conference than we do.
Yep.
That's a coaching problem. Like, that's legitimately you not pulling up. And like, and the thing is, though, too, for a half, we do look just as good as Kansas State does smacking them. Yep. For a half. Houston looked as bad as they looked all season in that first quarter, in that first half until the very end of it. What's it called? TCU looked as bad as they looked all season in that first half. It looked like
100
what it was
yards.
supposed to look like.
100
Bro,
yards, bro.
put
Dog,
boot
the
to
first half.
ass, man. Put boot to ass, dog. I'm like, dog, like, I'm so sorry. You have to go on the road and play in Ames. I guarantee you,
I'm so
this team
nervous.
starts off like Ames. I think they're gonna have a good game plan for you. I think they're playing good football right now. It's gonna be a tougher game than people imagine. If you are up on them, you cannot, and I mean cannot, allow them to come back from a 20-point deficit. Because I'm telling you right now, if we go out and we do what Texas is supposed to do, we're going to get stops early because the defense is good. We're going to have explosive plays early because Sarkisian knows how to scheme that up. Quinn is able to layer balls in the intermediate. And also, he's showing up. He's not really getting too much credit for it, other than the nasty pick that he threw the first drive.
Quinn ball.
Bro, he's been throwing good, accurate deep balls.
Yep.
There's still accuracy issues with his footwork and whatnot, but man, you cannot keep blowing leads. Kill somebody. Sark, Sark, the Big 12 commissioner.
I just want to see him kill somebody to show that he can do it.
That's what I'm saying.
Just to show that he's willing to do it, because even to me, the Kansas game 40-14, I know what the final score was, and people say, yeah, we blew out Kansas or we blew out BYU 35-6. Those game flow determined that more than anything else. I'm not going to say. Yeah. I'm talking about, dog, we pulled up. Because look, our good friend Ty, who I work with on every week from Around the Table Sports, and this is Ty as a Bama fan speaking on it. He covers all of college football, and he says, "Look, Texas is the best part-time employee one could ask for. They are going to show up and be amazing part-time, but they do not do full-time work." And it's the truth. 10 games in, we're not a 4-quarter football team. Now, I think I agree with Rod Babers in saying we are a 4th quarter football team. I do agree with that for the most part, but we are not all 4 quarters belt to ass. We're not. Until we show that.
Also,
we have to show it.
Steven, what happened to the team at the beginning of the year?
That didn't play.
We have, what we said too was good teams improve. Yep. We have, over the course of the season, regressed into what we were last season.
Last year. Yep.
This season, at the beginning of the year,
second half.
We were saying through 4 weeks, Steven, this was an elite 4th quarter football team. Yep. We just gave up 20 points in the 4th quarter and blew a 20-point lead in the 4th quarter.
Yep.
What happened to this team? They look like a completely different team. They legitimately look exactly like we have the past 2 years.
Dude, we was leaning on people in the 4th quarter, the first 4 weeks.
But the thing was, we were underperforming early. It's just I guess we're just shifting where we want to underperform. We're just switching up where we want to have empty drives.
For first or second half, you pick.
And this is my thing. I'm very happy with where our defense is. I'm very happy with PK as my defensive coordinator. The rest of you guys that are complaining constantly about whatever, I don't care. What I will say is the challenge to him, the challenge to the defense is when this offense stalls, because they've shown you time and time again, they're not capable of playing a consistent 4 quarters and moving the ball down the field. Actually, no, they are capable of moving the ball down the field consistently. They're not able to score points consistently for 4 quarters. Yeah. They've shown that. That's who they are. That's who they are now. We are a bad red zone team. That's who they are. The defense, when that happens, I need y'all to hold field goals. And it seems like they do whatever the situation requires for the other team to get back in. They really do.
All right,
when it's time to blow up against a team that's maybe up 10, or that they were up 10 on, they'll give up field goals. When it's 20 points, we're giving up straight touchdowns, baby. Open shot to the end zone, man.
I want to get some quick takes in here because some folks are putting some good stuff in the comments. So before that one, I think it was, who was it?
It was Christian Jones. That comment.
No. Nick V. No, Nick V wanted to know if he thought the tackle on Brooks was dirty.
I didn't see nothing.
I mean, I can see where we're looking at that in terms of twisting ankles, but Brooks has been banged up, guys, honestly, and he's had. I'm not saying it's necessarily was the ankle or anything like that, but I don't know if I'm willing to go to the point of calling it dirty, but I wanted to address the question that was asked because I do want to get to some of the Jimbo talk. I did promise we would talk about the news, the reports that Texas A&M has handed Jimbo his walking papers and will be moving forward without him in going into next season. But as we progress in finishing out this game in our Texas talk, Nightman cometh. Shout out to It's Always Sunny. Dude, we're 9-1. And this is, again, this is what it is where it comes back to. There's a lot of people in our fan base that are like, I just want to hear the good news right now because we're 9-1, baby. I just want to hear that. I don't want to hear about all of our flaws and all. Tell me I'm beautiful, Karen. Tell me I'm beautiful, Quentin. We're 9-1. Tell me why we're Texas and we're gonna win the Big 12. We're like Texas and we're gonna make the playoffs.
We're like that girl who wears too much makeup and you don't really know what she looks like until like the nighttime when she take it off type of stuff. That's what we are. We're beautiful and it's great. And then at night or just something happen when we take off our makeup and we expose ourselves to who we really are. I don't know if that's a good
No, Nightman cometh. I love you too. But this is why, and Landon said it earlier, and I agree with what Landon said. It's nuanced.
Yeah.
It is a nuanced conversation. This is a diverse fan base because the thing is, we at the end of the day, the way we were raised on football determines how we look at football. Yeah. And some of us, it's some real shit, right? And so some of us have, depending on what your angle is or what your lens is, and even how you currently consume football, like some of us, we are Texas junkies, but we're also sitting there on Saturdays watching the entire country. Yeah. We're watching everybody. And we're like, we're specifically watching the 6 teams that are ahead of us. And that's more of the group that's in the playoff realm, right? And some of us only are watching Texas. Some of us, we don't have, you have kids, you have things, you have all. It's a big commitment to watch college football all day, every Saturday.
I mean,
it's a big commitment. So some of us are, you're looking at Texas, you're like, you know what? I like these kids. They're playing hard. They're figuring out to win. They're not perfect, but damn it, these are games, and you've heard Jalen Ford say it. You've heard Christian Jones say it. You've even heard David Benda say it. These are games we would have lost in the past. Yeah, these are games we would have lost before. And you know what, folks? Now every week we're winning these games. We're getting over the hump. We're figuring out how to hang on. And Quentin, it sounds to me like it depends on where you're coming from, because some people that watch ball are like, yo, that's loser talk to me. Yeah. You should be going out there like the way, depending on how you were, let's say you played the game at any level. Some of us played the game, and you hear this from coaches all the time. We also want to make sure, Karen said it earlier, which tells me he's been around some coaches. He said, you want to try to be getting better as the season progresses. You want to get better as the week to week. Yeah. And he asked a question, have we improved throughout the season? I've also come from the standpoint of, are we playing our best? Are we being our best selves with what we're bringing to the table? Because each week that could be different depending on who we're bringing to the fight. This week, I'm more judgmental of Texas than I was the last 2 weeks. Why is that? We had a backup quarterback the last 2 weeks. We had a lot of people. There was that one, the Kansas State game, we were really worried behind the scenes because a lot of people didn't practice that week. And damn it, they came out and yes, it went to overtime, but the circumstances were different because it was a mass unit type week. Mm. Whereas this week, the coach is like, we're as healthy as we've been since Bama. We have everybody back.
No, we weren't.
And then we see this type of effort in terms of the score and the outcome. So that determines on how are we playing our best selves.
Catalan didn't even play. He lied to us.
That was the one lie that was told.
He fucking lied to us.
But he said everybody else was going to play, and they did. Catalan was the one person that didn't go. But yeah. I'm just saying, how do you look at that, Texas fans?
So I'd be down to talk about some of the positives that I saw, right?
Go.
Offensively, I think our offensive line, pass protection-wise, has gotten better and better week after week. We're not really giving up, like, bust
Sacks, yep.
and pass pro that are just like giving a free rusher and like momentum really could have killed us, especially on that last drive where we ended up getting that AD Mitchell just making an unbelievable play and Quinn was getting the ball out. They brought pressure right there. If you're not organized right there, you get sacked, and that's a really, really bad sack to take, and they probably go down the field, score a touchdown, and win the game. You know, like I think offensively, our offensive line has been amazing in pass pro. We're not really getting the push internally that I would like to see us get, but you know, I'm very happy.
Hilarious, fellas. I'm sorry.
We got BBLs, Botox, IG.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I
Y'all. Hey, this is why Nate says some of y'all don't know how to be happy into the confetti falls.
Yeah.
Y'all don't know. Just take the dub, fellas.
Bruh. Look, we are closer to a national title now as a program than we have been for the past 12, 13 years.
Dude,
think about that.
Real talk, even with the way we play, we can luck into the playoffs. If a couple teams lose, if Florida State gets one loss and we win out, we're in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, that's all it. Florida State drops a game, you're in.
It's a wrap.
Florida State drops a game, you're in. Honestly, if Washington drops a game, you might be in.
They got to play Oregon State next week.
Yeah,
at Oregon State. That's
the thing. It's like if Oregon State pops Oregon and Washington, you're in the playoff if you win out.
Oof.
The thing is, though, I think
you said it earlier, Kieran. If you put anybody in the playoffs in front of Texas, we gonna show up and be like, "Where was this team all year?"
I trust us
100%.
I trust us. I'm being dead serious right now. I trust us to give Michigan the game of their life more than I do. I trust us to go beat Michigan by double digits than I do us beating Iowa State.
Field goal in Ames.
Yeah.
I agree with that energy because we know because that's how they play.
We
but
play
the
to
thing
the level
is,
of our competition.
But it's also have some respect for the game itself, right? Like in the conference of just like you will have no issues getting to that point to show off against those teams if you just do what you're supposed to do against the bad teams. Like we're just saying, do what you're supposed to do. Like the whole we're being part-time employees. Carrie Heck Perez, thank you, Carrie. One game at a time for the rest of the season. Let's go. Worry about nitpicking in the offseason. We are the team right now. Hate or love it, we winning. And we are winning. But the reason, again, the nitpicking and to the degree of nitpicking depends on what outcome you care about as a Texas fan. If you care about the playoffs, then it is like, I think JS or somebody said it's a beauty contest then, because that's exactly what it is. We have to. It's like if we're talking about again, and Karen, don't sidetrack me here, but just hear me out. If we're talking about the GOAT conversation in basketball,
dear Lord,
the nitpick is different at the top of the mountain versus it is talking about who's in the top 10. It's a different level of nitpick. That's all I'm saying. If we're talking about who's the GOAT, now I got to nitpick every little detail because that's a different level. But if we're talking about, hey, who are the top 10 teams or who's the best in their era, then we don't have to nitpick as much. We can enjoy it more. So it's the same thing here. Again, if you're just looking at, I'm just trying to win the Big 12. I'm just trying to lead this conference and give that middle finger to Brett Yormark and bounce and beat OU and bounce, then you're not worried about 3rd and 1 as much. You're not worried about 3-3-5 and solving these problems and all this stuff as much because you're not really concerned. I mean, you really only looking at it. What 3 games left?
Yeah,
really that you care about, and then whatever bowl we end up at. But if you're looking at if you have true playoff aspirations because you're like, damn it, the window is here now. Quentin, how do you feel about that? Where are you at? Do you think what lens of Texas fan do you fall in on this?
Man, I'm a delusional Texas fan. Like, I gotta give it to about to right now. Like, I see things rose-colored goggles until I'm like it's 43-6. We can come back even though it's 10 seconds left in the game kind of guy. But once you show me so much, like even last week, y'all were saying all the stuff, and I'm like, we're fine. It's this week when I saw everything that happened the previous week. Like I saw it happen. It was like one singular play that happened, and I'm like, here it goes again. And like I said, there's so much football that has to happen with 3 scores, bro. You can stop the bleeding. You know what I mean? And Sark doesn't know how to do it. And is there anybody on the sideline to hit him in the back of his head and say, bro, do something about this?
To me, the most concerning part is, and this has been a concerning part about just like Texas football in general. We'll show the worst side of us one week, and my problem is good teams will do that, then they'll rebound the next week and go out there and dominate.
Yo.
Like Georgia will go out there, drop a game to South Carolina, but then they'll go out there and like murk someone later on, like early before they were winning national championships. They'll go out there, they'll struggle against Missouri last year. Then they'll go out and they'll smack somebody. Like my problem with this team,
that's true.
Time and time again since 2021, you go out there, you blow a double-digit lead against OU, then you go out there, you do it again against Baylor and or against Oklahoma State, and it's
Oklahoma State the very next week.
Yeah, so it's just like, oh well, okay, like back to back. To go out there and do it again, like where is the improvement? That to me that's a very, very concerning thing for Steve Sarkisian as a head coach moving forward.
It's
I will say, however, though,
my bad,
there are things season to season that he improves on that you've seen, and it's not that he's not capable of doing it. We were a horrible fourth quarter team the first 2 years that he was here. You come out this year, you look like a phenomenal fourth quarter team. So it's not that you can't do it. Like you mentioned, the Texas Tech game, going out there smacking somebody. It's not that you can't do it. You are what you emphasize. I think there needs to be more of an emphasis on finishing football games again, man.
It's cliche, but they say a football team takes on the personality of his coach, and he doesn't come across as an angry, hardcore man. He comes across like a beta. He probably lets it.
Hold on.
You
gotta relax. He's still 9-1, brother. I'm
not. Yeah. Hold on. But to the personality thing, though, I mean, Kalen DeBoer, like, is he this rah guy over there at Washington?
Neither was Chip Kelly at Oregon.
Kalen to me is very different than Dan Lanning. I mean, I think, but guys like Dan Lanning appeal more to you, Quentin. Honestly,
I agree.
Like those are the type of coaches you f with, right? Like a Jim Harbaugh outside of that type of energy.
He got that petty in him to fire you up.
but there's coaches out here that are thriving right now. Like Mike Norvell is not like that. Mike Norvell is a very measured, pretty mild-mannered guy until he'll turn up when he needs to, but I don't see Mike Norvell out here just, belt to ass on the sideline with his players, quite frankly. I mean, they're pretty chill. So I think it's more, again, what you decide to emphasize and and also holding your staff accountable throughout the game and throughout practice and throughout the season to make sure that things are being cleaned up and developed. Here's another thing. Stop making the same mistakes over and over, or else it becomes a habit. And I see like the short yardage things they just haven't been improved. Still a problem.
Yeah.
The mindset, this is just me. I don't agree. And this is at all levels of coaching. I don't agree with the customary lazy inside zone run on 3rd and 4 or 3rd and pick a number because you're planning on going for it on 4th down and not being attack minded on picking up that 3rd down right then and there with your best play call. I don't like it.
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead, Karen.
I want to see us. I think the Jonathan Brooks injury is going to. If I'm looking at this positively, I think it's going to allow Sark to be like, oh, snap. I really do have the best weapons in the entire conference on the outside, and I can really depend on airing it out if I have to. because Quinn is taking that step in his development. I'm okay going more vertical, spreading people out, bringing on Jonte Cook onto the field, starting to look for different things. As long as your protection's holding up the way that it has been the past couple of weeks,
Yeah.
I like going vertical. And my thing is too,
Me
like
too.
in those short yardage situations, yes, you have a deep bag of tricks, and everyone's talking about the talent that we have. Sarkisian has scheme for days, but
Dude,
sometimes
to your point about scheme, he scored on a 4th and 1 against OU going vertical to a Gunnar Helm.
exactly
There's plays. Like,
that's what
you
I'm
don't
saying.
always have to just ram the ball against the wall.
Exactly, and that's exactly my point. You have a quarterback that since I mean, like, honestly, since that really rough game against Wyoming has been extremely efficient throwing the football. He's been capable of hitting his deep shots. Let's distribute the ball around. You have the two best wide receivers in this conference, in my opinion, by a wide margin. Use them. Like these guys, I need to see. It's going to be criminal, the fact that Xavier Worthy and A.D. Mitchell might not have 1,000-yard receiving seasons this year. It's borderline criminal. We haven't had a 1,000-yard receiver yet under Steve Sarkisian. And I think this is the best offensive scheme that we've seen. I want to see him throw that thing around.
I want to give some positives real quick because we haven't given enough flowers to certain people.
Yeah.
I think T'Vondre Sweat, and somebody mentioned it earlier, and I apologize for just now getting to this. T'Vondre Sweat's an absolute dog. They called that bullshit face mask on him yesterday that pissed me off. And you know what my man did? My man came back and got a sack, and then he hit the getting jiggy with it.
Yeah.
He hit the getting jiggy with it. I love T'Vondre Sweat. I love Byron Murphy.
NFL.
You know, obviously, he had a big, he had a sack. Terrell Carter had a sack. Our interior guys on the defensive line, they get flowers. But T'Vondre Sweat, one of the things that is just so unique with him is his range down the side, like to the sideline. Like he's making plays. Even that face mask penalty he got called for, fellas, correct me if I'm wrong, that's a play where he's going to the sideline. Yeah. And he's coming from lined up over the center, making that play at his size. And it looks natural to him. We've watched him enough now to see the mobility, the strength, the whole package there. So those guys, I think we've gotten so used to just expecting great play from them week after week that we just, it's like set it and forget it. But I think we need to appreciate what they've given us because, again, this is why I think for me as a fan, I'm always going to be in the third tier of having sense of urgency with trying to win as much as possible when I can, because I'm not going to have that luxury next season going into a more difficult schedule. Next season, we will have some questions on the defensive interior when he's gone and probably Byron Murphy's gone. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But like that's and it's the same thing as we had last year with Bijan and Roshan. Like, I wanted to win as much as possible while those guys are here in uniform. I say that I've said this consistently on this channel. Great players, when you get great players, you're only going to have them for 3 years, folks.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is probably the last time you're going to have Xavier Worthy in a Texas uniform.
I want to touch on that too. Go
ahead.
For every Texas fan over the past 2 seasons that has just been like, oh, well, Worthy, get him off my team, da-da-da-da, this and this and that. Steven, what receiver on our offense has shown arguably the most effort on this football team this year? Xavier
Jose.
Yeah.
Xavier Worthy.
And also on special teams, too.
Also on special teams, Xavier Worthy is not only, I think he's going to end up being one of my favorite Texas football wide receivers of all time. He is almost unguardable. He has developed not only his body, but his route running ability
Yeah,
his
his speed is
ability to go
nasty.
contest catches, his ability, like he will drop his shoulder. He stays ready to play. He's 165 pounds, and he still goes out there, tries to drop his shoulder, pick up yardage, does the tough stuff. I am so happy that Xavier Worthy is on my football team. So exact. Oh, other than Jay Witt too. Jay Witt plays with
Jay
fanatical
Witt's
effort all the time.
assumed the reason why I didn't say Jay Witt, Jay Witt's the most high effort player on the team.
Yes.
Jay Witt, but that's also assumed. The thing with Jay Witt is because we've unfortunately we're back to being not unfortunately. Let me clean that up. That's because that's not right. The way we play football best is still out of 12 personnel. Jay Witt's not going to be on the field a lot. Like it just is what it is, right? Like we are a 12 personnel team. So because of that, you're really only going to have most of the sets are only going to be Worthy and Adonai Mitchell.
Yeah.
So with that being said, Worthy, because of the amount of snaps that he plays, the effort, and this is what Kieran's talking about, the effort, the improvement of his strength, natural playing. Like we're seeing Worthy lower his pads.
He's the second best blocker at the wide receiver position that we have. And I know he had like a missed block yesterday, but how many times have you seen his skinny ass run up the field, put his hands on somebody, and allow something to happen behind him? He shows crazy effort running downfield trying to sprint and go like make blocks. Dude, he has been unbelievable, and I'm going to be so unbelievably sad when he's gone.
My only issue with Worthy has been the consistency with his hands.
The drops are tough.
And that's the only. Yeah, I mean, he had the one. I mean, he dropped a touchdown against Bama. He had the one yesterday where it's like, hey, help the quarterback out a little bit. Yeah. But at least even now, when a ball may not be the most catchable ball deep downfield, I thought last season, especially last season, because freshman year Worthy was a bad boy too. I thought last season X didn't always sell out. This year I have not asked. I mean, I haven't even thought about that or asked that question. I think he's done that every time. I think he's even protected against possible interceptions.
Yeah.
And done everything. You know, that's something that you as a, from a quarterback's vantage point, you're like, okay, that guy, it's quarterback friendly. I feel comfortable. I know something bad won't happen if I throw his way.
If y'all understood how much it means to a quarterback to watch his wide receiver go defend one of his bad passes.
Yeah.
It's something that got A.D. Mitchell, in my opinion, in the doghouse in the OU game because he didn't show enough effort trying to come back to the ball whenever Quinn
on that slant. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like
that ruins your quarterback's confidence. Builds it up though if you make a good play. What are you saying, Quentin? Sorry, my fault.
I don't know. It'll work itself out. I just Murphy likes AD better than Ewers do. I think it needs to be like 50-50. Like I want to see a game where they both get like 100 yards, like just you know what I mean, type of thing.
Yeah.
Because for a large part of yesterday, AD was kind of missing.
Yeah. AD just loves catching these touchdowns, man.
Oh, that's all them.
He's really like. It's funny that like
and he's
AD,
clutch.
He got 9 of them.
Very clutch. AD is extremely clutch.
He was like that at Georgia though.
Well, that's why I was excited to get him, and I'm glad that what we saw at Georgia has translated to Texas in that aspect. I also think that the one time, I think it was the Kansas game when we really had to like really spam AD, he was ready to go. Yeah. He was ready to go. And so I think that he just hasn't had the opportunities. I mean, if you look at, I have the stats up here, right? AD only had 6 targets yesterday. Worthy's the one that had the double-digit targets at 13. Yeah. And then the other 3, the rest of the stuff is either screen or to the tight end. And Jatavian Sanders also made a pretty another catch where he protected Quinn. Yeah, where he protected the ball. So that's encouraging as well.
The one that he caught through it was just a real arrogant throw, and he ended up catching it for a first down on the second drive of the game. Insane.
Okay, so I want to peel off this because we need to talk. Need to talk Jimbo Fisher, and I want to say this, as I get our screens aligned here.
Yeah.
It's interesting because when Texas made the move from Tom Herman to now Steve Sarkisian, that was coming off of the COVID year where A&M at that point was They finished one spot behind, and Notre Dame got in the playoff over them, but they were in that playoff contention. And now here we are 3 years later, and Jimbo Fisher, what's the number, folks? 75 million he's being
77.
Yeah,
paid
he's going to be paid 76 point something million dollars
to leave.
I'm a text
And
him out.
so, this is my personal opinion. Everybody can weigh in here. I do think with Texas in particular coming into the SEC, with the momentum we have, we just nitpicked our own team. This is us. Look, this is us talking about our baby, but we're not going to let other people call our baby ugly. When we get out back in public, we 9-1. That's the energy, okay? And we trying to make these playoffs. But we just finished our whole conversation. I do think that the momentum that Sark has with this Texas football program, recruiting, all these aspects, coming into the now getting that SEC bump, I believe that has forced A&M's hand, and it's multifaceted, but I think that's one of the reasons.
Yeah,
because of the timing of this is interesting. A&M just won a football game 51-10 last night.
That's
Billy,
the crazy thing to me. I was like, I thought he had at least one more year.
Dude, when I saw the thing that he got fired, I was like, how much did they lose by last night?
I'm telling y'all right now, we have a lot to do with it. I mean, a lot to do with it. I don't think if Texas was sitting right now at 9-1 on the potential of being a playoff team in year 3, looking like we are, looking like the talented roster that we are, that they would be pulling the trigger this quick. Given the fact that next year, A&M, I don't know what's going to happen now because of the transfer portal. Next year, I think A&M would have the most talented roster with experience in the entire country.
Kieran, I've been saying this. I kept telling people, I'm like, dude, A&M, the way, how last year we kept saying 2022 is the year before the year. We were, our expectation, we knew 2023 with how there's roster management, this is our year to take our shot. That's why we've been talking about windows. We have been consistent, me and you especially, have been consistent at saying A&M's window is 2024.
That's their year.
With that 2021 class being that third year. We knew that from jump. And so for them to make the move now, damn.
It's after a win, after a 51-10 win, before a game against Abilene Christian, I thought was just like, what's going on, man?
Because they were probably going to LSU 7-4, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be the correct? Yeah, 7.
It could have been 7-4, 8-4, and they could have beaten LSU. Like they lost 4 games this year by 6, 7, 3.
And Connor Weigman was injured.
Yeah, and they lost by 15 to Miami. Miami was a bad loss, but my thing is like, dog, I don't get the move because one, they're losing a crap. They must have someone huge in mind that they know they can get right now.
Got to.
So
if it's not a Corey Seager game 1, friggin' bottom of the 9th inning, need to have it type home run higher. Shout out my Rangers, by the way. Dog.
World champs.
World champions. Hang the banner already. No, like just if it's not that, it's got to be Urban or somebody. To make this move now, they must have gotten confirmation like, okay, we know we're going to get the guy that we're getting.
After this win, I feel you.
After a 51-10 win, I swear it's got to be Urban. That's who you go all out for, though, no?
Ooh.
It's a nasty program already. Why not have an even nastier coach?
So this was reported by Billy Lucci, and I want to echo this because some people have said it in the comments. Billy Lucci reported that the Board of Regents met on Thursday. So this would have been
this is after the Ole Miss loss.
So after the Ole Miss loss, this would have been 3 days before the Mississippi State game that they decided to cut ties. So but the announcement, right? Because we didn't hear, at least from my standpoint, and I think we all have our ear to the streets to some degree. If that meeting happened on Thursday, they kept that shit quiet through the game. because all this stuff is happening this morning,
Yeah.
as far as we're concerned. And so I think that's interesting. Looking at the coaches that are out there, do you believe, and Karen, you said it, but Quentin, you have opportunity to respond. Do you believe A&M already has their coach for them to make this move?
I believe they already have their guy in mind. And I see like a lot of people saying like Jeff Traylor. I think Jeff
They're
Traylor's
not that kind of
also,
program.
bro. If Texas A&M is trying to be where Texas A&M is trying to be, it makes sense for Texas A&M that I grew up watching. It makes sense for that Texas
R.C.
A&M.
Slocum's Texas
The
A&M.
Texas A&M that pays their coach $100+ million guaranteed. That's not gonna work for them, bro. I'm sorry. A coach that hasn't played 3 Power 5 opponents in a season yet isn't gonna be a guy that they're really gonna put their hedge their bet on. He said it's Dana Holgerson is crazy. No, like obviously if y'all want to like talk like Texas guys that I think would like be amazing, like I think GJ Kinney's like an amazing coach and whatnot. He's never gonna get that job right now. It's got to be
right
someone
now.
big.
No,
what they're going to try
he's
to do.
still building. He's still build. GJ's going to be dope, but he's still building.
GJ's going to be the coach at Baylor, and he's going to be a freaking monster.
Yeah.
But my thing is, what they're going to try to do. They have now learned we can poach coaches from anywhere. It is what it is. If I'm them, I tell you what I do. First call is Urban Meyer because you're already the nastiest program in college football. Why not just be nastier? Go get a coach that's going to be nasty, but guess what? The dude's going to win football games. He's going to have you possibly competing for national championships. If it's not Urban, I'm calling Oregon. I'm hitting Dan
Lanning.
I'm hitting Dan
What?
Lanning. Yes.
No, this
100%.
is Karen's reading. We haven't even
100%.
talked about this. You're reading my list because I have Urban Meyer first and I have Dan Lanning second.
Yeah, 100%.
After the year he's having right now, what?
Yes. Oregon has been viewed, and I think Dan Lanning might be the guy to stay at Oregon because that's what Oregon really wants. Oregon really wants the guy that's going to stay there and do the thing.
That's going to stay.
And they're going to the Big Ten. They're going to be nice.
A&M would flex money to I mean, yes. Miami just did
A&M would make him the highest paid coach in football history. The highest paid coach in football history. And if it's not him, you look around the country for other guys. They're going to try to poach. They're going to try to get someone from the NFL. They're going to try to get Urban Meyer. I have 3
more names.
What are the other names?
Kalen DeBauer.
I don't see it happening. He doesn't recruit. I think Washington is set for a steep fall off afterwards because he's not recruiting well. And also when those guys leave, have you really developed the guys behind them to be able to really step up? Roma Dunze, like the offense is looking more and more like F it, Roma Dunze and Jalen Polk down there somewhere as the weeks go on. But I like him as a coach.
All right, my next name, and these are names I've just written down, so I'm just going to read.
Got you.
Lane Kiffin.
I can see it.
No.
I can see it.
I can see Lane Kiffin.
Lane is not in a position to get elite recruits right now, but he's coaching his ass off. He has a top 15 program. They're winning games. I can see it happening.
Lane's going to go 10-2 this year. His only losses are going to be Alabama and Georgia.
Yep. And guess what? He would step foot on A&M and have the most talented defense that he's had in his entire coaching career. I think Lane is right there. I would say if it was my list, Lane would be on it too. Lane would be number 3.
My next coach is Mike Elko, Duke.
It's possible. I don't think it's going to be the popular one though. You're going to have an elite defense.
You'll have an elite defense. I think if you get Elko, you probably keep, because you're also going to keep the people from leaving, getting in the port. People are going to be poaching that roster regardless now, right? Like it's probably already the DMs have already people are already sliding in the DMs as we speak, right?
Yeah.
You can only imagine if you're Walter Nolan, who's recovering from injury, or Shamar, all them dudes. Yeah. You can only imagine, or Regis, what the DMs look like right now. Evan Stewart, all these guys, both sides of the ball.
I'm going to say this though too. I want to say this though too. Just overall, the way A&M is operating right now, Texas, Steve Sarkisian, boosters, be ready. They want to buy
A team,
a
by their
good
whole roster.
college football program. And a team that hires a
They're
coach
gonna be
for a guaranteed
motivated.
$65 million, then extends him to over a guaranteed $100 million, and then turns around and buys that coach out for $76 million a year before the year that it's supposed to be. Get ready. They are not going to stop this push for an elite football program until they get one. So be ready. You like Texas boosters, you have to be ready. You better shell out that bread. Call up the tech billionaires, oil billionaires, get their kids, daughters, whatever into football, because Texas A&M is coming. This is the move that we all thought they weren't going to make this early. We knew Jimbo Fisher wasn't the guy. We were like, bro, please keep him around. Like he's gonna keep losing these games. They're going to push for an elite football program.
Jeff Traylor was on there, but I agree with your point about where it falls and the timing of it and all those things, because I think we've always looked at him on that trajectory, especially with his recruiting ties, his background, and his personality. He kind of fits that scope, but I don't see that right now. Somebody else said Mike Gundy in the comments. I don't have Mike Gundy on.
Dude, that would actually be.
I don't have Mike Gundy on the list.
Chris Kleiman.
Dude, I saw Bob Stoops in the comments.
Bob Stoops is crazy.
There's
Oklahoma.
You know what, Coach? For
10-30.
me personally, for me personally, and this is, he's not a big enough name, but if I heard this, I'm like, oh, this is literally just a football hire. Would be Willie Fritz. If they went to Willie Fritz, if you put Willie Fritz can coach his ass off, and he would have the New Orleans, that whole Louisiana aspect and everything. But he's not big enough at this point for what they're trying to do.
Bruh, if they want to get real nasty, look at what Eddie put in there. They get real nasty.
Oh gosh, Eddie.
You're real Eddie. Nah, not in this political climate, brother. Straight up though, you have your choice. I think they could also look NFL. I'm being honest. I think they could really look NFL. But you have your choice, Steven. Who are you going? If you're A&M's AD, you have the overall decision.
Dan Lanning would be my first phone call.
Same.
I think that's the person from an energy standpoint, recruiting, understanding the SEC. I think that's a guy who they would look at as, all right, we got our Kirby Smart coming to Georgia type aspect. That would be the mindset that they would look at. And somebody who is already quickly proven to be one of the best coaches in college football.
But
so Dan Lanning would be
have to buy out his contract as well?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
They're making this move right now for a reason.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Buy out 2 contracts and pay another dude?
They're going to pay.
They're going to do it. They just did it.
Money ain't an issue for them.
They don't have to buy out Urban.
Money ain't an issue for them.
Come on over, Urban. We got
agreeing to a $70 million buyout is insane. Like they have to. You don't make that decision without knowing you can get someone else elite. In my opinion, you don't make.
Here's my thing. You don't
have a $70 million, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe the money is a little different. And they have the $70 million buyout, and they're like, shit, we don't have any money for anything else. We got to get Traylor. Because we know Traylor's going to take it. But that's a lot of resources to allocate, man.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, Traylor would take it, and they would get Traylor at the rate, at a more comfortable rate. And then you would, do whatever you would do. That's why that's another reason why I suggested a Willie Fritz as well, because then you're just saying we're just going to get the best possible football coach, and we're going to build a staff and resources and all this other shit to help them in the recruiting aspect, but we're going to have the best possible coach here. You can't approach it that way.
You can't play that game.
I know.
If
I
it's
know.
we can throw money at you as much as possible, and like I'm gonna have like real developers on staff, cool. But the thing is, like, if you don't have guys capable of building those relationships, you're
That
not gonna
can
be able
get
to
the kids there.
recruit. You
No,
bro, like a
no.
kid would rather play with a coach that he knows he can trust and like it has a good rapport with than someone that's gonna pay him more money, but he don't really rock with him like that.
Okay, so
And there's
then
no with this.
what if they go Urban Meyer?
Urban
It's the safest. There's no
Urban's
way
the
they're
perfect
talking to
fit.
Dan Manning in the middle of a national championship run. There's
Yeah, they
no
are.
way.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
Same way
all right.
LSU pulled a 12. Hey, what college football has shown you the past couple of years?
They don't give up.
USC said, I don't care. LSU said, I don't care. I'm gonna go right at Lincoln Riley.
They was losing.
Yeah, wasn't
LSU
Brian
said-
Kelly?
LSU said,
Wasn't
I
Brian
don't
Kelly
care.
in the playoffs at Notre Dame?
LSU said, I don't care. I'm going right for Brian Kelly. Yep. They
And
don't care.
didn't USC go smack at Lincoln Riley?
I'm telling you,
They
they
was
do
losing.
not
They don't
though.
care.
They weren't in the middle of a national champion. This is
Yeah,
Brother.
apples to oranges.
Oklahoma was one loss to Oklahoma State away from like possibly being in the playoff again.
Dude,
It was
that
that-
year they lost like 3-4 games, or they lost like 3 games
They
that
lost
year.
two. They lost two. They were 11-2.
Okay.
My
I
thing is
like
like,
how
bro, like
Fitz over here he's keeping with compliance. Brothers, they're talking to the reps, not talking to him.
dog. I'm
But
telling
you know.
Goodness gracious. I'm telling y'all right now, though, Urban Meyer is the perfect fit for A&M. Perfect. He's going to hire. Urban Meyer ain't missed on an OC hire in years.
Nope.
He's gonna hire a good ass OC. He might bring GJ Kinney out of freaking Texas State. Be like, yo, you want to make $3 million calling plays for me?
He
Okay,
would do
cool.
some shit like that.
He would.
Because my thing with Urban,
Urban Meyer should have been the coach at Texas, man. That would have been great.
I don't know. I'm not as high on Urban as other people are.
I'm not
I
either,
think-
though, to be honest.
He
I
just
think-
wins.
I think-
What you mean?
He's a CEO,
No.
though, and he's going to have the best recruiting class that you've ever seen.
He will recruit. Here, I think football can pass people by, though. I think generational.
is
I don't
true.
know. I don't think he's built to. He has been built to adjust to football the way Nick Saban has adjusted to football, because that's the level that Urban Meyer is on resume wise.
You mean
And
like
he's
in
been
the
in
political
Texas, too.
climate type of thing?
Is Saban like
No, it's
politically?
not that.
He is not. It's a bunch of things. Politically, he has not adjusted the way Nick Saban has. Nick Saban has been more progressive minded and more in an atmosphere like Alabama, of all places,
Yeah.
with his players, recruiting, offensive football itself. When I say progressive minded, I'm not just talking politics outside. I'm talking
Started
about
airing that thing out, man.
I'm talking about exactly offensively, navigating how they handled the Jalen Milroe situation this year and negotiating with him and saying, hey, we got to open this thing up for his running abilities and things of that sort. Having different defensive coordinators, the way he's brought on coaches. Urban Meyer has burned bridges in this community, quite frankly. And he got exposed. Like Nick Saban, when he went to the NFL, Nick Saban just didn't have talent in the NFL, but he wasn't necessarily exposed in the NFL as a bad football coach. I never thought that when he was with the Miami Dolphins, especially since his best player was Ricky Williams and he never even got to use him during that time. But Saban also was an NFL guy in another life. Urban Meyer, when he got to the NFL, he got exposed. He got exposed, folks. So from a football standpoint, and at Ohio State, and look, it's for as good as he was at Ohio State and the success that he had, there was frustrations there. There were things there that he didn't age as well as Saban aged.
Yeah.
So
I think it's the same thing that Tom Herman struggled with. I think offensively, he never evolved past like 2015, 2016 era, where you could run 11 personnel and hammer inside zone and really just like dominate with a good like power spread, being able to like mix those things up. Urban Meyer, I don't think evolved offensively past those years. He ended up making good hires though. I think that's the thing is like,
true.
he is a red ass coach that is going to have winning football programs, and that's all he's had everywhere he's gone, and he's going to hire good coordinators. So I think it has passed him by a little bit. I think his time away from everything is tough as well. But also, he's the only coach in college football that, and like, who would be like current college football that like has won natties at multiple different places.
We opinion show. We just talked about Lane a few minutes ago.
Yeah, I like Lane. If I had a top three, it would be Dan Lanning first, Urban second, Lane Kiffin third. Yeah, I Brooks torn ACL is the overall thing right now. Dog. This also just sucks for him too because
timing of it too.
He's running back 1 in this draft. He's legitimately running back 1. He was going to be the first running back taken in this draft. And now it's the timing because it's late in the season. You got to hope for a 9-month type recovery. Maybe he comes back and plays next season, or maybe he just goes now, gets. Dog, this is tough. That's really, really tough.
DM Blue said the amount of depressed Texas fans after being 9-1 is honestly insane. They act like we're the only team to have close wins. It's not that.
It's the way we have close wins, though. If we played
it's the way like we have close wins.
If you played the teams close all the way through, I'd have been like, damn, that was just a good football team. Like, it is what it is. It's the fact that you have 3 games now where you've blown a 20-point lead. Or, like, almost blown a 20-point lead. You won all 3 of them. Cool. But also, it's the same stuff that we've seen. Like, that's not what good teams do. Good teams don't ruin those opportunities where you have an opportunity to put a team away. Any team with a competent offense that we've played has come back from down 20 points. Think about that.
But we are happy we're 9-1.
I am very happy we're 9-1.
Don't get it twisted.
Yeah.
AKA, as Rodney Terry says, don't get it twisted. I am happy we're 9-1. Yeah. All right. But we have to. Nobody wants to enjoy football like that, man. I mean, we want to win, right? But seeing your team just fall apart at the end of the games or in the middle of a football game like that on a consistent basis against subpar teams is not good in the long term, because we know what those bad habits can lead to when we face better opponents. And the last time we faced a better opponent that was really healthy was OU, and those bad habits cost us a football game that we felt like we should have won. Those bad habits cost us. So we don't want those bad habits to keep popping up when we get to the Big 12 championship game and everything is on the line in Arlington, but we lose the game because we can't convert in the red area on 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1.
Yeah.
But then we're the jerks because we've been harping on that all year.
Yeah.
That's why we harp on these things against the bad teams, so that they're buttoned up when we get in the big moments. We know we're going to bring that heat in the big moments overall. That's why Kieran and Quentin were so confident earlier about if we play a Michigan or anybody good, we know physically our profile will match up. And we think scheme-wise will match up. But it's the habits within the game that we think, if we don't clean those things up, can ruin the outcome. That's our problem.
Man, I'm
gonna go for 3 more minutes here, Kieran. We'll stop at 2 hours.
Gotcha. Go ahead,
bro.
Want to emphasize, very, very, very much happy we are a 9-1 football team. This is the best football team we've had in 14 years, and for that, I am very, very thankful. Like, I was saying this to a friend too, or actually no, my friend Zeph was saying this at like a sports bar that we were at last night. I'm happy it's November, and I get to enjoy college football still for my team. I'm glad we have something to play for the 3rd week of November.
The fact that you can watch the playoff show on Tuesday and your team is involved.
And my team's involved. For the first time in 14 years, I can watch November football and be like, yo, we're still in the mix for a national championship. That feels amazing. That's incredible. I'm happy that we're in that position.
I'm happy that we're leaving with W's against all the former conference members that we're playing.
Yeah.
I'm happy that we're leaving on a W.
Yes. I will say this though too. How do we feel about the Jonathan Brooks injury and Cedric Baxter kind of taking the heap of the carries? I think Cedric Baxter is still a year away from a vision and lower body strength perspective. He's just not seeing, which is honestly concerning to me because there are times where he is just missing the hole.
Yes.
And
so let me speak on this real quick to answer your question. The good thing is the way the Brooks injury occurred, you have a week now knowing it's not like this injury occurred next week, first quarter, first drive.
Yeah, Thursday practice or something like that.
Or late in the week in practice. You have a full week. Like today, for example, before they do install tomorrow, because they normally do install on Mondays. So today, as the coaches are getting ready and putting together scripts, plans, what they want to do for install, this is where Sark and Tashard Choice can get together and say, look, and Kyle Flood as well, what does the boy do well? What do we know that when we run this, even if it may be counterintuitive to what is Iowa State's expecting to see or what we're trying to do in our pass game, what do we do well to get him comfortable? We don't have a backup plan in 24 anymore. Yeah. So we got to run stuff to get him going because running backs also run better on confidence, on feel as they get going, as they get those blows, all of a sudden, rhythm. Yeah. All of a sudden, if he starts getting going later in the game, you start asking him to do other stuff. If he's feeling good, he'll do it. Yeah. So it's not like we've seen Baxter just be ineffective the whole year. That's not the case. Earlier in the year, he wasn't even healthy. Now it's growing pains. So what I'm saying now that you have time, Tashard Choice, Kyle Flood, start, put your minds together, figure out what that run scheme is. This run scheme should look different for what Cedric Baxter does as the featured guy versus what Jonathan Brooks does as the featured guy. That's how they have to address it, in my opinion.
Yeah. I hope we can go out there and see Cedric have like a really good game because the thing is he has shown like flashes of like, oh snap, that's the elite running back that we were talking about. You know, like I think in the Houston game, he actually had a better game running the football than Jonathan Brooks did. But since then, like you see like little spurts of it. Yeah, it's a huge blow though. That's devastating for Jonathan Brooks. For him personally, the team too, but like more for him. That just dog. I got to check on Nash. I know Nash is probably in like real tears right now. That's his boy.
Man, it's tough, man. And how much do you use the guys behind him? I know we talked about Jadon Blue earlier. Savion, loose cannon on the sideline, red. And
cannot happen again. Cannot happen again. Inexcusable. Cannot happen.
We did a lot of dumb stuff at the end of the game that we haven't even discussed, by the way.
That's what a young team
some
does.
Bullshit, some stuff that we're lucky it didn't cost us.
Yeah.
That was real goofy that was happening on the sidelines that just, again, I think in position meetings, some guys will gonna have to answer to some things, but we that can't happen moving forward. And then obviously, the Kalen Robinson health, if we can get anything out of him, great. But we don't know what his health status is there either. So yeah, tough. But Karen, parting thoughts, man, before we tie off here.
First and foremost, extremely excited that we're 9-1. This is the first time I've felt this happy. Parting thoughts, I really hope they rank Alabama above us. And I hope that pisses off everybody in that room. But I hope it also allows them to take a look in the mirror and be like, damn, like we kind of deserve this because we can't put people away. Because at the end of the day, I think if you go out there next week, you blow the doors off of Iowa State at Iowa State, you blow the doors off of Texas Tech back home, you blow the doors off of Oklahoma State, who just got the doors blown off of them by UCF in the Big 12 championship, if they make it there at this point, because who knows. I think you have a chance at the playoff again. And I think that's up to them. Do you want to play like a playoff team or not? Because in my opinion, you're in the playoff if you start playing like a playoff team. That's my only thing. But overall, you're a good team. You're looking like a conference championship team. Most important thing, though, this next week against Iowa State, you win this game, you secure your spot to Arlington, period. You're in Arlington if you win this game. You are competing for a Big 12 title if you win this game. We have stuff to play for this week. It's not just a road trip to Ames, Iowa against a bad team, blah, 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 blah. You win this game, you're going to Arlington. Period. It's over. Like, you're sealed, you're there. You can compete for a Big 12 championship. That's the goal. That's what you should be trying to compete for. That's what you should win. In the last year here, go win the Big 12, focus on that, and play your best games. That's it. Play your best games. Give us one time this season. One time this season, play 4 quarters of football. Give us a complete game. One time.
I echo everything you said. Again, 9-1. I'm gonna start how we finished, right? The 3 areas of Texas fans. If you didn't hear my opening script, look, 9-1 collectively as a fan base, we got to take it. 9-1 is whether you were somebody that predicted the team to go 11-1, if you were somebody that predicted the team to go 9-3 or 10-2. I think most Texas fans seem to be in that 10-2 range, and I think on the high end 11-1. We're right there with 2 games left in the regular season. You got to feel great about that, and we can't emphasize that enough and be excited about, again, like Kieran said, each and every day where we talk college football and we're in trash talk forums or in the spaces or on social media with other fans, things feel great. I think if you're a fan of Texas that had very low expectations and you stayed there regardless of what you've seen, and you're like 10 wins and everything else is cake, you're Gucci right now. If you're a Big 12 appearance or Big 12 title person, you're Gucci right now. We're on pace. But if you're somebody who, I think that you know what, if we can go down to Tuscaloosa and play football the way we did and show that and watch a football team finish a game running the football for the last 7 minutes to control and finish a game, and then we haven't seen that since, that level of gangster from this team, then we're basically here. And I don't want to say it's just negative and depressed. I know some people are coming off that way, and I hope that we've moderated some of that in this discussion between nitpicking and identifying what our weaknesses and issues are versus challenging this football team to be their best possible selves. When Kieran says, I want to see us be a 4-quarter product, he's saying, I want to see Texas be their best selves. And let's see where the chips fall. We know what that looks like. I can tell you right now, I know if Texas, I will die on this. If Texas comes out and they're executing, they're doing everything they can, and somebody else just comes along, they better and beats us, and it's some legendary fight, I will tip my hat. I'm proud of y'all.
Yeah.
Okay? But I cannot be proud of, I'm not gonna give everybody flowers when you're blowing leads to sub 500 teams.
Yep.
That are not good.
That's the problem, though, there, too. The problem with Texas football for the majority of the time span that we've been in purgatory, that we seem to be finally getting to the cusp of getting out of, why so many fans are hypersensitive about it is, the team is better. The team's better. When the Tom Herman era, we were better. In 2020, we were the better team than I think everybody that we played against. In 2018, we were better than West Virginia. Like, I genuinely think, and I sound like Nash now, we beat the shit out of that team. But my
shout
thing
out
is,
to Nash. Appreciate you, brother.
My thing is, you have underperformed consistently, and we watch this team that we know is special, that we know is good, that we know has draft picks, that we know has talent, that we know has good coaching and scheme whenever it's on. When we watch them underperform, it's like, dude, y'all, we have a national championship caliber squad, and you're not playing like one. And it's very reminiscent of everything else that we've seen for the past 14 years. And because of that, that's why we get frustrated. That's why everybody gets hypersensitive. That's why we can't celebrate 9-1 the way that everyone wants us to. I'm here to celebrate 9-1. I'm very happy we're 9-1. This is incredible. This is absolutely incredible. The fact that we have a good football team. Everyone should enjoy this. Everyone should enjoy this window that we do have. Yes, would it suck if we don't win a natty? Yes. Right now, though, I'm trying to make it to the finish line. Let's get to the finish line. We got 2 more games left in the regular season. 1 more win gives us the first 10-win regular season since Mac Brown was on campus. Think about that. It will be our first 10-win regular season since 2009. This is the best team we've had in a very, very, very long time. And we're building something. Those early, I mean, I wasn't around for him though, Steven, but I'm sure those early Mac Brown years were somewhat reminiscent of what we're dealing with now in terms of underperforming. Or I didn't grow up in the 90s and see all the other UT teams and whatnot, but
Right.
he had 1-loss teams. He had teams that would go out there and lose to Oklahoma. You know what I mean? Like it is
I mean, some of those 11-1 years. I'll use 2004 as a very good example of this, where our 1 loss, and that's sophomore year, redshirt sophomore year, Vince Young, where his first full year as a starter. Our 1 loss is a 12-0 loss to OU, right?
Mhm.
So that's similar to this year, right? Our only loss was OU, but there were some rough games. There was the
almost lose to
Kansas.
Yeah,
There
I
was the
about to say.
4th and 18 Kansas
Yeah.
game. Yep. And Tony Jeffrey, shout out to Tony Jeffrey. But at the same token, you could see them ramping though in
Mhm.
season that year, where they did start beating the shit out of people.
Yeah.
And by the time they got to Michigan, the Vince Young that played against Michigan was not the same Vince Young that OU saw in October. Very similar to Jalen Milroe. The Jalen Milroe we saw in Bama in week 2 is not the 6 touchdown Jalen Milroe now with all the confidence and experience. It's the same thing. He also has ramped now, right? And so with that 2014, that's probably one of the better examples I can use. So it's like with our team, yes, we are winning these games, and we're navigating through the Big 12. There's a lot of emotion there. There's a lot of hate that they're up against. We've gone against a lot of adversity with injuries, and we've played 2 games with a backup quarterback. All those things are factual. That's this team's story. But we also want to see them finish the year with their best selves.
Yeah.
And that starts with Iowa State next Saturday. And that ends with Texas Tech. And you know what? Beating the shit out of Texas Tech for personal reasons.
Yeah.
Forget the records.
Yeah.
And that's a game where Texas Tech, by the way, because I think they're going to lose to UCF somehow. They're going to come into that game needing to win to go to a bowl game.
You have they're going to try to keep you out of the playoff. You're going to try to keep them out of a bowl game. And guess what? I hope the Big 12 commissioner is there. Sark should take that as disrespect. Oh, yeah, Big 12 commissioner here. Y'all talked all that stuff. Y'all shoved our player on the field last year. Your fans came on the field, talked a bunch of crazy stuff. You said the Big 12 runs through us. You said we were soft, that we were going to fold in the second half, and we did. All that stuff. And on top of that, bro, you have the thing that I loved about the last 3 weeks, and this is why the TCU game pisses me off. They have owned you. Owned you. Since being in the conference, they have owned you.
Yep.
I know Sark wasn't here for all of that.
8-3 in the last 11 games.
They have
was
owned
TCU before
you.
yesterday.
They have been your daddy. You should have smacked the dog shit out of them. You were right on the cusp of doing it. And
yeah, I think though AJ's right. I think AJ's right here. They're not that until they show that energy, they're not that team.
Yeah.
They're the team that's going to go out and play hard and get out to a great start and try to close and be clutch at the end. But they're not a team that's out here trying to send messages.
Yeah.
And my fear, and this goes full circle back to the playoff conversation, is my fear in that teams like Oregon out here, Dan Lanning, and some of these other teams that are ahead of us, and even Alabama, who's behind us.
These
are teams sending messages.
You saw that reaction though after we lost to OU. At least with some of the players, I think Xavier Worthy and Jahdae Barron are that reactionary.
I don't think the whole football team wired.
I don't think the whole football team is. That might be the problem. because they they seem ready to go out there and like really get their get back. But
Did they? I mean, they didn't play like that. I mean, they beat Iowa
no,
State last year, barely,
yeah,
and needed help with the drop from Hutchinson. That was the game coming off of the get off the bus, Bo. Right?
yeah,
Like that was the very next year. They've never been like that.
yeah. You just
Like
have
that's
something to
that.
play for though. It's my thing. Like
I
this
think the
week
only team that will bring that out of them
is
is
OU.
if they play OU in the rematch. That's the
Yeah,
only team that's going to bring it out of
which
them.
could happen. It
Other
actually
than
could happen.
that, right, which could happen. Other than that, I think you're good. This is the 10 games in. You are what you are, and this
Yeah,
is the Texas team. We're gonna have the same conversations next week
yeah,
after Iowa State. Hopefully after a win. Hopefully after we're 10-1. Right, but we're gonna have the same conversations about you know we were up and then we were down and then
yeah,
we stabilized. So
yeah.
it
So
is what
it's
it is, man.
if Oklahoma State drops a game to Houston, you're gonna see Oklahoma get in that game. I would love to see Oklahoma get in that game. Because I hope I can see my team go out there and play with some fanatical effort.
Need some bow fire.
Yeah, that I think that might be the other thing too. We have two West Coast guys just chill, like nothing too crazy. But also that does give you good things on the football team because I don't feel like this team gets rattled in any environment.
Right, they stay measured.
They're chilling, bro. Against Bama, everyone's like, all right, cool, like
Let's execute.
yeah, let's do our job. Like we're gonna go do our job regardless. Like it's gonna be fine. But man,
I know you want to see that fire from your football team where it's like, nah, we took it personal this week.
yeah,
This. I mean, because they will come in and talk that talk sometimes. You'll hear it from them, and I'm sure that they'll say it the next few weeks. But then they get out there and it's ho hum, step on neck. Like I want to see one Quinn Ewers game, just one Quinn Ewers game before he leaves Texas. Where it's bombs away for the whole game. We don't stop.
yeah,
Like he had 300 yards passing yesterday. A bulk of that was in the first half.
yeah. He had like 250 in the first half.
What if he had maintained that level of, and granted, again, working back, first game back, but I'd like to see that 500-yard, 5-touchdown game just because it's like, yo, that's what we needed today.
You saw it with Mac
And
Jones when he was at Alabama. He was capable of throwing the ball down the field. He was just like, all right, if we have to throw the ball this many times and score and have him have 400 yards, then yes, he's very capable of it, as well as the wide receivers. I'm watching Washington diagnose one-on-ones and say, yep, that's where I'm going. Time and time and time again. There's no reason why you can't have an explosive passing offense. And that's why I want to see, like, now that we're probably looking at not having Brooks. So,
get well soon, Jonathan Brooks. You will be missed. Great win for this team. Again, 9-1. Great, season overall. Like we said, chime in the comments, hit that like button, subscribe, the whole bit. Try to get some more content over here. Thank you, Stephen G. Saw the pickup. Hey, I was the only person that picked Texas Tech to beat Kansas this week on Bleacher Report. So I appreciate that.
Congratulations. They'd have got smoked if Jason Bean stayed in the game. It was crazy. It was crazy. I lost so much money on a parlay for that one. That was tough.
So thank you, Stephen G. Hey, our Bleacher Report show every Friday. The rest of this month will be 1 p.m. Central Time. Yeah, 1 p.m. Central Time, 2 p.m. East Coast Time. The rest of the month of November on the Bleacher Report app for our Pick'em show. And, obviously all the great work that Kieran's doing over at OT and on TikTok and on all the social media platforms. Please continue to support. So appreciate you guys. And remember, horns always up. Hook 'em.